Hi guys, this is Aratrika from the Products by Women team, and I welcome you to another episode of Fireside Chats. Today we have Alteryx PM Sonia Prakasam with us, and she's going to talk about her journey into product management, why creativity is important in product management, and working at Alteryx. Alteryx is a leading data analytics platform with offices in both California and Colorado, and it was recently named a challenger in the Gartner Magic Quadrant in 2019. Sonia also happens to be my senior from business school at CU Boulder and has a history of consulting with tech giants like Microsoft, Nokia, and startups while working at Tata Consultancy Services. And now passing it on to Sonia. Thank you for joining us today, Sonia, and sharing your insights about product management with us. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey into product management, transitioning from engineering to product management?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Rachika, and super excited. Thank you for having me here. Like she said, I'm Sonia Prakasam. I'm currently a product manager at Alteryx. So I just put together a small presentation, just a quick slide about my whole journey, my journey to product management, my background, and things I wish someone had told me. And if you think I can help in any way to help you succeed and to find your next dream job, let's connect. I'm more than happy to play any help that I can possibly can. So this is the agenda that I had for today. So if you have any other questions, if there's anything specific you want me to talk about, please drop it in the chat after I go through this quick rundown. I mostly want to get to that and be more helpful towards what you guys want to hear from me than me just rap. So let's get started. So this is just a quick journey of different things that I went through before I landed here. So I was born and brought up in this small city in India called Chennai, and I was a huge Chennai Super Kings fan. That was basically the cricket team from my city, and not the insect, the team. And then I went on to do my engineering from Anna University, affiliated college, R&B Engineering College, post which I worked for Tata Consulting Services right after my undergrad, and I was predominantly working in two accounts, Microsoft and Nokia. I started in Nokia, then Nokia got acquired in 2014 by Microsoft. So a bunch of for their Lumia hand phones. That was the piece that I was working on. And then I knew I wanted to do my master's. So while I was thinking about that, I also put down my papers, wanted to take this break here, and I applied, and then of course I got bored, and so I was like, okay, let me try the UN entrepreneur internship. So I applied for the UN entrepreneur internship, global entrepreneur internship, and so I was in Egypt for 3 months. Pretty much everything changed after that. I decided not to do my master. I thought maybe MBA was the right decision for me. Was super passionate about startups because I was working for a startup in Egypt, and things changed. I applied for business schools here, got in, and then worked in a couple of places. Worked in Ball, and then also worked in a startup called Comic Chat, and then eventually ended up last year in Alteryx as a product manager for their data science and innovation team. So that's just a small journey map or a quick snapshot of how I got here. We'll get into details of how exactly I got here just in a minute. So what I do as a product manager, so as a product manager, you own what product to build, and you own the overall strategy and the vision for the product, how it should look, what kind of users this product should be catering towards. Work with the engineering, design team, and the marketing to define and ship that product. So in different companies, the product manager owns different pieces. Here in Perfect, the product manager also owns the go-to-market motion. And for the most part, as a product manager, I'm talking to customers to try to understand their pain points and how we can improve on the product so that it might be better use for them. And one of the important ways through which I do that is use telemetry, how if you install telemetry within the product, then you would know how many times has the user placed the tool in the canvas, because Alteryx is basically an ETL, data prep and blend, and we are moving more towards the data science side of things. So you can place the tools in the canvas and then analyze the data, and so you'd be able to like look at like how many times these tools have been used in the canvas. So that's what I do as a product manager. Like, that's how my day looks like. And so I've always like wanted to know, like if I were to like ask someone, like I want to know like how would have things been different if someone else had told me given advice like 5 years before. So I always wanted to know, like I wish someone had told me these things like maybe like early in my career. So the value of resiliency, like I think how much people underestimate, like it's so important to like uh, like irrespective of like the failures and all that, like the true value of resiliency is like pretty important. And just because someone in position of power said it does not make it true. It took me a long time to like actually know that it doesn't matter like wherever the information, the knowledge comes from, it works. And learn from as many people, as many places, and as many industries as you can. And like just let's not be like so focused, but like like just expand your horizon in the way that you want to learn. And the way it was done does not equal the way it could be done. Just because someone did it in a certain way doesn't mean that that's like the secret sauce. You can like make your own secret sauce is eventually what I started to like believe, at least in the last 6 months. I've been starting to really accept it. um, a good idea doesn't matter if you can't explain it in a way that most people can understand. You might be even building the software that might even change the world, but if a person can't use it, and if a person can't like understand it, and if we can't explain them why it is useful to them, I think it really, at the end of the day, doesn't add value. And the last one is like build it and they will come. This is something that I keep going back and forth about. Sometimes I believe like do your research and then build it. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, build it and they will come. So it keeps changing for me. So this last one is something that I keep going, like I said, I keep going back and forth about. Um, and the next thing that I want to talk about is like tools I've built as a PM at Alteryx. And so we recently built this whole suite of things called the text mining tools, which basically does like PDF parsing, and it also has like sentiment analysis. Say if you have like I thought I'll demo, but then I had to like install a new build today, so I don't have the latest demo. So I'm just gonna speak to it for now. So sentiment analysis, like I said, so we have like 4 natural language processing tools and 3 PDF parsing tools. So the natural language processing is like text analytics to analyze the sentiment of the text, what exactly uncovered the different topics or ideas that a certain document has. Let's take the example of Twitter. Say a company is trying to understand what their Twitter sentiment is, and they have these hundreds and thousands of tweets about them. You parse it through the text mining, the sentiment analysis tool as a CSV file, and then for each tweet, you would actually get like if the tweet is a positive sentiment, negative sentiment, or neutral sentiment. And post that, you can apply the topic modeling, which will help you understand like what was the reason behind the negative tweet, what was the reason behind the positive tweet, and then a good way to kind of visualize it using the word cloud tool. So this is something that I've been building for the past 1 year as a PM in Alteryx, and my focus area within Alteryx. Um, and the next one is, if you think I can help you, let's connect. Please feel free to like reach out to me. I will make sure like that's my email ID. I still regularly check my CEO email ID. So feel free to connect. More than happy to like chat with you if there's anything that can be helpful. If there's any opening in Alteryx that you think that you would be a good fit, again, feel free to reach out. More than happy to help there.
Awesome, Sonia. Thanks for all of those details. And to take some questions about product management and working at Alteryx.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first question would be, since you did your MBA, are there any particular frameworks or ideation techniques that you use in your day-to-day work at Alteryx?
Yeah, so one thing that really works for me is like there's like so much you have to like you have to think about when you're releasing a software product, especially an enterprise software product. Like, you have like design, and you have like brainstorm for that, and then you need to like figure out, like, do research on like what exactly you want to build, like, because that's exactly what product owns. So for me, like, mind mapping is like a good way. So I take like, like, usually it's me and the design team, and like we just go into a room, try to like, put in like every single thing that we would need for this product, and to like write it on sticky notes and like put it on the table. Like, mind mapping is like a way where you're like just like writing out the random ideas that come to your mind, and then like you then start to like strip down on them, and then start to like actually uh, uh, build down on like how you would like uh, you know work through like different pieces of it one at a time, and that's how you would do it. Aratrika, 1 second, I just need to like open the door. 1 minute.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sorry about that. Perks of working.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's the new normal of like working from home. Like you have to just accept it that there will be distractions. After all, you're in somebody's home. It's not an office. So I think
Yeah.
we're talking more about mind mapping. Can you speak about somebody who has not done mind mapping before? Where can they learn? Did you go to YouTube to learn it? Did you learn it in school? Are there any books that you learned it from?
So I think pretty much all product books talk about it. Like, some people call it like sticky note talking. I mean, like just like writing out ideas in sticky note. But like, there's like, if you just like type mind mapping in Google, it's basically like a way to like the center theme. What's your center theme that you want to build, and what are the things that you just start writing out things that will enable your central theme, is what basically mind mapping is. I learned it as a part of my MBA curriculum, but there's so many books. Like Inspire talks about it, which is like uh, the mantra for a product management. And there's also, I know, the lean product playbook that also talks about all mind mapping techniques. So these are some of the things that I don't know if I'm like making it clear. So it's basically like you put in a central theme, and then like you start to write out things that will, like, say for example, my central theme is like to build a text mining product. And go into it is like, I need to like work with like the UX and UI team, and then like I need to figure out, there's like bunch of algorithms, so like which algorithm, benchmarking those algorithms, figuring out which one is the most efficient one for text data. And in company like Alteryx, if it's an enterprise product, then like we want it localized in like all the supported languages. So Alteryx supports 7 to 8 languages like Chinese and Japanese and Portuguese, Spanish. So kind of like making sure like it's supported in that, and then working out the task for the engineering. How should the UI look, and who exactly are we targeting in this UI? So Alteryx, in like specifically the data science team, we are trying to move more towards, as you said in the Gartner report, your challenges. And one of the reasons is because we are trying to target this persona of like citizen data scientist. So a citizen data scientist is someone who cannot code, but who's an analyst who cannot code, but who understands the nuances of like how to use the tool. They have like a preliminary knowledge of database and all that, but they do not know more than that. So, kind of like targeting that specific persona.
Gotcha. Thank you, Sonia. And since we spoke about personas and working for this particular person, I feel like data science has become so more accessible to people from all walks of life. Like I studied journalism as an undergrad, but even I went on to study machine learning in my grad program. So I know that you work in the innovation center of Alteryx. Can you speak a little bit about it? What is the innovation center at Alteryx, and what do day-to-day activities look like in that innovation center? What is your role in particular working in the innovation hub of Alteryx?
Sure. So, like I said, the text mining tools actually came from the Innovation Center. So, how it came about is like, so Alteryx had this community where we would get like feedback on our tools and our basically our data prep and blend tools. But like at one point, like being in the industry for 20 years, the community is so huge, and we have like more than like millions of like posts going on. So we didn't have like a way to like analyze or to maintain our community. So the text mining tools came in as a way to like, okay, how do we maintain this in a more efficient way? And so for that, we started to create like, okay, so first we want to understand if the person is talking about these tools in a negative way or a positive way. So we wanted the sentiment analysis tool for that. And some of them, they want to like identify like which tools are having the most conversation around them. And that's when like the topic modeling tool came about, where you're trying to understand like, okay, because each tool can be a different topic. So kind of like dividing them into like different topics and ideas. That came about that. And then the biggest thing is like in Alteryx as internal any company, there's a lot of like paperwork in HR and finance. So we wanted a way to like PDF parse and to be able to like annotate the PDF forms and to kind of like cut them and then parse these text and then apply sentiment analysis on like what these texts are. So it's kind of like the workflow of how that's how we came about in the innovation team. Like we needed these tools, and then we look as you're like researching. There's like many open source on like uh, how there's like many open source packages available, but how we want to build this tool. So anybody like a data scientist can like write an algorithm, like you can take the open source algorithm and write about and do these parsings. But we wanted to enable these tools again for those category of people called the citizen data scientists, who are people who are analytical but who cannot code. So how do we empower them? And so like and we it started as like a POC, like a proof of concept, and then we started to like benchmark it and build on top of that. So that's what we do in like the innovation side of things. Like I usually just go out and like research like what products are most exciting, like simple tools with the Alteryx platform that we can incorporate to make sure like that we can support internally as well as for our external users.
Awesome. Uh, Thanks for that enlightening insight, Sonia. Could you also speak a little bit about the research that you do? I heard that you do this user research when you're building these products. So, what kind of research do you do? Do you hire a third party team to do the research, or is it all in house?
So we do have like our own competitive intelligence team. So we have like shared services. So in any company, I think they have these like sector like shared services team, which is basically comprises of like UI UX design, and we also have like a competitive intelligence team who go out and research about like the other players in the Gartner quadrant and like where they stand, and so some of those research comes through that. But in terms of like algorithm, let's take sentiment analysis. So there are many open source algorithms. There's like Vader is the one that we've used. That's the open source algorithm under the hood that we've used. But there's so many others that's out there. But in terms of like efficiency and to be able to like parse so many text, I think we decided eventually to go with this. Basically trying to like run like from Kaggle, you can take like sample data sets and try running. So that's one way to research it. And like third party, yes, we do from time to time we do that as well. But we have an internal team whom I work with very closely to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for telling us so much about the Innovation Center at Alteryx, Sonia. Now, moving on to my next question, I wanted to ask you, are there any particular books or blogs or newsletters that you read to keep yourself updated and just gain new practices while working as a product manager?
So books, I think it's mostly like I said, I think Inspire is a really good one. And if for people who are trying to like interview, I think How to Crack a PM Interview is again a really good book. And then the Lean Product Playbook is like pretty much I am anybody who's interested in, remotely interested in product management should definitely read that. Blogs, OpenCV is something that I keep going from time to time. I keep going back to from time to time because that's closely related to like what I'm working on in terms of like natural language processing and like PDF. And since you're moving more to like image processing, I think that is more relevant. But other than that, it's mostly like there's like Stack Overflow for like Python packages that you're like trying to read about to see if it will be supported. I think since it's a technical product, I think Stack Overflow those come into like picture a lot.
Gotcha. And since you did speak about that, it's a technical product. Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell me how I know that product managers come from all sort of backgrounds, but when a product is something like a machine learning platform like Alteryx,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is it like is it necessary that one has to come from an engineering background, or what if they have an interest in this, they don't have an engineering background? How would you
Yeah.
help them upskill themselves, or what are some learning that they should do if they want to work at a place like Alteryx?
So, like, I know I come from an engineering background that helped, but like, I was not fairly familiar with like Python until like very recently. And so, what I did when I started at Alteryx was like, um, you read about it, but also like do like a mini project for yourself so that you can apply and kind of like see like what you've learned is actually like working for you. That's somehow like I learn things generally. Uh, like I think Python when I started when I was like working in the startup, so I was learning like scripts of Python. I took like a Udemy, like any free course. I wouldn't advise anyone to like pay and do any classes. Just like learn the basics and then like try to do a mini project for yourself using the concepts that you've learned. I think that works the best for me. Self teaching, I think, in a way.
Awesome, thanks. And you also spoke about tracking the PM interview. And I remember
Mhm.
there's one question that they ask in all PM interviews, that is, what is your favorite product? So I would like to know,
They don't
since,
stop with that. They actually like go to like, what is your favorite product and how would you make it better? That's
yeah. So just as somebody who loves, all tech products, who's interested in new gadgets, what is your tech? What is your favorite product? I'm really interested to know that. What are the products that you use in your daily life? That make your life easier, or just whatever you just use it for fun.
I for the longest time have been like a huge fan of like Pinterest. I don't know why. That's pretty much one of the reasons why when like sleep eludes me, I'm like literally like surfing until like 2 a.m. on Pinterest. But I like the way like how the user interface of Pinterest allows you to make like imaginary plans of like how you want to do and like basically the your DIY. You know, if you have your own DIY home projects, like it kind of like walks you through like step by step. Only thing that I don't like about it is the source references is not very clear there in it, and maybe like videos could be better. Like there's only like pictures more to it, but there's not really like videos clearly attached to it. I think that's like the one thing that I would want to like improve about Pinterest.
Gotcha. And are there any products from work that you use, um, for whatever purposes, like for project management, or for like just, keeping as an organization tool? Do you have any other tools that you use at work?
I think like sticky notes, like the good old sticky notes, have been like the best friends for me for the longest time that I
Mm-hmm.
can think of. Uh, but other than that, like I'm like really, I always have like a pen and a paper next to me for like organization and like calendars, and like I think the basics work really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that has been uh, like when I'm like reading like long articles in terms of like when I'm doing my research, is like has been like Blinkist, which is like a good way to like take notes and like summarize your the research that you've done. It's been an extremely useful product. And so
Awesome. Is it called Blinkist?
yes.
Awesome. I've not heard of it. So
Yeah,
I'll
I can link it up after this call. It's a pretty useful one.
Gotcha. And your journey has been really inspiring, especially for me. Can you give any advice to the young aspiring PMs over there who want to break into product management?
I think like the things that I said, like this slide, going back to this slide has been the most useful. Like, try to like network. Like network is like is the biggest thing that got me to the place where I am here today. Like try to like learn from like asking people like ask the same question to like multiple people and you'll be surprised by the answers that you get from like the different sources. Like people usually have like one mentor or like maybe a couple of them, like have like 20, like, and try to like listen to them, and you would hear like 10 things or 20 things from each one of them, and then like be like, make your own decisions based on that. Like, don't try to like just imitate like someone just the way that is. I would say like make your own design, or like make your own conclusions of like what you've learned from these people has been the one thing that I would give to like people who are trying to break into product management.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, you
Yeah.
were saying something?
No, I was just saying like networking has been like the most useful one for me. Even like being within Alteryx, like always try to like reach out to people. Maybe like skip a ladder. Like if you're like an engineer or an analyst, if I'm a PM, like rather than trying to like gain mentorship from like director, try to reach out to your VP and like see like what he has to say about like how he did things before. People always like to talk about themselves, so it's a good way to like learn as well as gain wisdom and knowledge.
Awesome. And when you spoke about networking, we know that
Mm-hmm.
like the tech ecosystem and the startup ecosystem in Colorado is really growing. We see a lot of tech businesses moving in Colorado. So, what are some networking circles that you would recommend to people of Colorado? I know that at CU Boulder, Leeds School of Business was a huge space to meet people from who were PMs and PMMs from a school point of view, but people were generally from Colorado and might not go to CU Boulder. What are the
Mm-hmm.
ways would you recommend them to network?
I think Meetup has like a lot of like interesting things. Meetup has like a lot of events for like PMs, and Alteryx also holds like women in alleys meetup from time to time. But because of COVID, it's currently put on like a hold. But if something comes up, I'll be sure to share it with you. But meetups have happened from time to time, and like PMs, I used to attend it even as a student in like Boulder, and also Denver has like a lot of things.
Awesome. Thank you, Sonia. And I think with that, I have come to the end of my questions. If anybody has any questions, they can type in here. And before that, I would just like to ask you how is it working at Alteryx as a culture? If anybody is interested in applying to Alteryx, what should they do? How should they prepare? If they can, if you can put up your slide with your information, if anybody wants
I
to
can
contact you,
pull it up.
that would be great. Yeah,
Yep.
just to give people a little idea, because I know Alteryx is doing really good, and if somewhere to like, if someone were to apply to Alteryx, how do you think they should prepare, and if they were to reach out to you, how should
Definitely
they
reach out to
prepare for
me.
that?
Like for sure, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to like connect you with people if there's like a role that you're interested in. If it's a good fit, more than happy to like connect you with like folks here internally. And other than that, like my LinkedIn is Sonia Prakasam. Or like feel free to drop an email at Sonia Prakasam Colorado. Like I said, I regularly check that, and like just send me like an like connect with me in LinkedIn, and then like let's chat, let's hop on a call. We can't get coffee because of COVID, but I can always hop on a call with you to talk you through things for the role and see if there's a good fit, and maybe introduce you to like a couple other people. I think that's another good way to like network. Every time you network with someone, like ask them like, can you tell me two other people that I can talk to help me reach where I want, and like that's how you expand your network.
Awesome, thank you. I actually did not know about this, and I think that's such valuable insight, right? To just getting to that first person and then expanding your network. And Sonia,
You'd be surprised how many people are there, like out there, like willing to help. Like
uh-huh.
I think it's like us being like a little bit hesitant, like should I reach out? And but then everybody's like always trying to like help each other, and every company wants to hire. So
Mhm.
if there's a fit, of course they want to hire you. So and we do have currently a good backlog of like openings in Alteryx. So check it out, and if there's something that I can help, more than happy to like connect you with.
Awesome. And when you like mentioned that people hesitate a little bit to reach out, like I've seen it with myself. A lot of times it's just I'm scared to reach out to someone I don't know, and just that imposter syndrome, uh, like it just overwhelms me. So how do you deal with that? As like personally, I know you for a while, so I know that you're very confident. But if imposter syndrome strikes you, how do you deal with that?
Like I think like soft, like everybody knows like the person who's reaching out is like going to be like, if they are in their early stage careers, and they're going to be a little bit intimidated. So everybody's trying to be warm, and also I think that's like talk about like things, like find a commonality and try to be authentic about it. Like let's not just like go there as like, oh, I need a job. Like, of course we know everybody needs a job, but like try to like find that commonality. There's like definitely in like the first 10 seconds of conversation, there is obviously one thing that might strike about this other person. So try to pick that up, soften the conversation there, and always like send like thank you emails after like getting coffee with someone. So like try to keep the conversation going, and like let it not stagnate there. It comes with practice. Like try it 10 times, you fail with 10 people, but the world is full of like billions of people, so you can never go wrong with like so many times. Like after the 50th time, like I remember like when I was like initially trying to like reach out to people, the blunders I've made, but you learn from them and then kind of like still move on. And also trying to be a little bit shameless about that and growing thick skin goes a long way.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you for that valuable advice. I feel like sometimes this advice seems obvious, but I've seen a lot of times when people have emailed me about coming to business school, and they have not written me thank you letters. So as I said, it seems obvious, but it's not. Things like this.
Very of course, you're trying to be like courteous with this person, but just like take that extra effort to like show them that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia.
And
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Hi. So I'm sorry, I joined actually about 20-25 minutes late, so I missed a good chunk of your talk. But the last 7 minutes have been very informative, and it's so great to hear some of the things about networking, and how you were able to get to the point where you are, and kind of your passion about product management. So that's really very refreshing to hear. I wanted to ask, and I apologize again, it is covered already. If it's covered already, I can always go back and review the recording.
But it's like don't apologize for asking questions and be shameless. You're going to help you. I mean, in the first, it's like you're always like, I'm sorry, like I'm like wasting your time, but like don't apologize.
Okay, all right, I'll not. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. So I wanted to ask, how do you determine success of the product, right? And what are the metrics you use? Is it always metrics based, or is it sometimes more intangible also that you look into, something you look into?
So for like specific products, like I was telling you, like all Alteryx products are installed with telemetry, so you would know like how the tools are being used. At least the that I only made sure like telemetry was pretty heavily installed, like how many times it's been placed in the canvas, and like which config is like the normal assisted modal and also the advanced modal. So you would kind of like know what percentage of people are using the assisted part and how many people are using the advanced settings, and that can help determine on what stage the user is, if he's an advanced user or if he's just like getting like feeling things. And I think the most important factor for success is like if someone's like actually paying you money to buy the product, then that's like an actual determining factor of like the success of a product. But like if it's a part of the entire package of the platform and you just own like 10 tools out of it, then I think telemetry and like talking to customers, understanding their pain points, and the hidden in the company are the sales. The sales folks in the forefront who sell it, they might be able to like tell you like where your product is lacking, and like most of the times like people don't know that they need the product because they don't know how to use it, or they don't even know that they need the product to solve the problem that they have. So making sure like that's where marketing comes into play. I'm not a marketer, so I can build a great product, but I still need my marketing team to help me put together like a great marketing plan on how they should communicate it out, how should they enable the customers, and how should they sell it in an efficient way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess the first point of contact for any customer would be sales, right? So they would be hearing some feedback, and even after sales is keeping relationships or maintaining relationships with the customers. So that makes sense. They would hear about the feedback, and also I guess how the one thing that you said is focus on the revenue generating customers, right? The ones that are paying the money.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, like imagine like someone's actually paying you money to like buy something that they've been working on. That's a great feeling. So you want to like empower them more, and that's a good metric to determine like where your product lacks. Or we have these like win-loss alerts about like if someone's not buying your product, then talk to them about like buy the product, like get that intimate conversation with them going so that you can improve the product.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for that. And the other question I wanted to ask is about team motivation. And as a product manager, you won't have it's a matrix kind of an organization, right? So you don't have the UI designers and the engineers reporting to you directly. So, any tips that you have for motivating the team?
Yeah, it's called servant leadership. Like basically nobody like you don't own, like nobody's reporting to you, but pretty much you need them all to do the work that you want them to do. So like I would say like the first like 1 month has been all about like building the rapport with your engineering team or your data science team. Since I work predominantly with data scientists, like building the rapport with them and making sure like so PMs I consider are people who like take all the bullshit and like don't let it go to the engineers so that they can do the job better. You can like handle all the bullshit from like the different orgs of the community. Like you take all the bullshit, kind of like shield them from that, and they can do their job efficiently. And I would say like get the rapport going and like try to have like one-on-ones with all my data scientists so that I know like how I can help you do your job better. Like you don't say it exactly in those words, but like how can I help you more so that like your task becomes easier for you.
So, Sonia, you spoke about communicating with engineers. Do you feel like your engineering background makes it easier when you're doing that being a PM?
A little bit. I have to agree a little bit because I remember myself being an engineer. I just want to be alone. And being a PM, like, like they always want to talk to the engineers with the smallest of things because making sure like they're aware of it. So so you can kind of like give them that space so that they can actually code because they need that block of time just to like be straight the computer. But we also have like stand-ups and like we have like other like ceremonies like retrospectives and we have like iteration planning. So we have like a bunch of meetings, but we also have a day called Meeting Free Tuesday so that like they don't have to deal with like any of the meetings that we have for them on a day-to-day basis.
Wow, that sounds really nice. Meeting Free Tuesdays.
So those are things that we had to like try out. Like, they were like, oh, like why are we having meetings every day? And then like I was like, okay, let's not have a meeting on Tuesday. Like it's called Meeting Free Tuesday, and you guys can like just code like all day long, and we won't come and bother you.
And is it just only in your team or all over Alteryx?
No, not all over the office. It's just my team because, like I said, like you need to like try out multiple things. It might not work in another team, but you can always try out different things and see like what works best for that team and kind of like tailoring it for each team.
Awesome! Wow, that sounds like a great idea, and I would like to implement it in my next opportunity. Ruchika, do you have any other questions you want to ask Sonia here?
Yeah, so one last thing, and meeting free Tuesdays are meeting free any day. I think my team will also be very appreciative of that. Especially engineers who want to just be heads down and just work on the code.
Yeah, like be in the coding zone, right? Because they do it, and then like the PMs are like, hey, like what's the status on this one? Hey, there's a dispute that came.
Right. Yeah. So one final question from my end. Is there any aspect of product management you don't like or you don't find it interesting?
Presentations and presentations, I hate them. But
sorry, what was that?
Basically presentations and documentations, like presentation also. But I hate them. It's like a lot of like the same information being put together for the different needs for different people. You're putting the same information, you're putting it for like multiple teams in a different way, so it can be like not so great, but it's one of those things about product management that you have to
Understand. Yeah, thanks a lot, Sonia. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, so nice talking to you.
Thanks for joining, Ruchika, and thanks for asking those questions. They were really meaningful. And Sonia, it's really hard to believe that you don't like giving presentations. I think you did a stellar job today.
Oh God. Did I talk slow? I don't think so. I did because I get excited and then I don't talk slow.
No, I think it was perfect. And there were so many things that you spoke about that were really insightful, especially for me. I have recorded the session and I will share it with you soon. And thanks for coming in today. I know it's been a crazy day for you just after the long weekend, but it was so nice talking to you. Thanks for sharing your details. Can I share your LinkedIn with the greater network?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And I will share
Definitely.
your video too. And thanks for joining in. It was so nice talking to you, hearing about all of your insights. And yeah, I hope to like grow this relationship further with Products by Women.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. It's been a pleasure to like. It's always nice to like talk to people about what you're doing, because you feel like you're just building this great thing. But then like when there's like some kind of validation, it makes it like okay, I am on the right journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's always nice. So thank you so much for asking me and having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with this,
Yeah.
we come to the end of today's episode. Thanks all of you for joining in. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Ruchika, for joining.
Thank you, both of you. Have a good night. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye bye.
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 So,
Are we done?
yeah, I was just stopping the recording.